Could an encrypted manuscript by a British genius hold the secret to limitless wealth and immortality? Did Isaac Newton unlock the mysteries of the legendary Philosopher's Stone? And the holy city of Jerusalem? Could a complex of ancient tunnels hide a spectacular, supernatural, biblical relic? The casket that supposedly houses the living spirit of God.
This is the place where the Ark is waiting for us. No doubt about it.
The Philosopher's Stone, a legendary source of limitless wealth and eternal life. It's a popular myth, but for alchemists, it was a serious quest. The Philosopher's Stone wasn't an object, but a forbidden formula. It's been written off as nothing more than a fantasy for centuries. But now, scholars have found an encoded manuscript written by one of Britain's greatest scientific minds, Sir Isaac Newton. It suggests he was close to discovering the Philosopher's Stone, the alchemist's holy grail, the secret of how to change base metals into gold. The find has sparked a new quest for the Philosopher's Stone. Historian and writer Anna-Marie Roos is following a potential trail of clues around London. For those who believe in codes, its architecture is loaded with symbolism. Anna-Marie Roos specializes in early English chemistry and medicine. Deep in the vaults of the Royal Society, a manuscript that had been lost for almost 100 years has been recovered. Written by Isaac Newton, its equations and experiments are expressed in mysterious symbols and cryptic phrases.
I'm really excited about seeing this document in Newton's hand because who knows what we're going to find?
It's hoped the manuscript will shed light on Newton's supposed quest for the Philosopher's Stone. Rob Illick has studied much of Newton's work. It's hoped he might be able to decode the manuscript. The Philosopher's Stone was the alchemist's ultimate goal. Alchemy itself dates back before the Dark Ages. According to legend, the Philosopher's Stone was the product of a formula that could transform base metals into gold. The Philosopher's Stone also cured wounds and disease. It was the key to wealth and eternal life.
There it is. I mean, that's a manuscript of Isaac Newton's.
How do you make sense of that?
The Newton manuscript is written in a complex combination of Latin, ancient Greek, and 17th century English. But the real challenge is deciphering the strange symbols he used to encode his results.
There are some symbols in Newton's alchemical writings whose meaning we don't understand. We just don't know what they are.
Oh, there's some interesting ones. I'm not quite entirely sure what that is. We see the sun, which I believe represents gold, and the moon, silver, and mercury, but...
These are elements that are specifically alchemical, and they've been produced as a result of the alchemical process.
The mysterious symbols aren't the only clues. The pages themselves are evidence as to what Newton was doing as he wrote his book.
You can see that some of the pages are lighter coloured, and some of them, as in this one here, are actually very dark. I think that indicates that this was on his table when he was doing alchemical experiments.
So it could possibly be that some of the chemicals of the smoke may have discoloured the page itself.
And they're still embedded in the paper.
A unique experiment is underway to shed light on the ancient mysteries of alchemy and the legendary Philosopher's Stone.
So you've got yellow phosphorus there.
Yes, I mean, this is the amazing material that was actually distilled by the alchemist Henrik Brandt from human urine. We've got oxygen in the globe and a very small piece of phosphorus.
Oh, that's spectacular.
Chemist Andrea Seller believes alchemy was more than mere black magic,
Oh, wow. Cold.
but the birth of modern chemical science.
Well, this is precisely the sort of thing that Newton would have been interested in.
Well, I mean, there can't have been that many light sources at the time, and so something which would actually light up like this must have been a real revelation.
Isaac Newton's alchemical experiments began in 1668 while he was a fellow at Cambridge University. He turned his study into a laboratory, working night and day. A fire that almost burned the building to the ground may have been the result of a runaway experiment. Alchemists worked in secret and wrote in code for a good reason. For around half of Newton's life, the practice of alchemy was illegal and punishable by death. Alchemists were often hanged on gallows painted gold. Deemed the work of the devil, alchemy posed a more earthly threat to authority. The wealth of kings and nations was stored in gold. If alchemists found a way to make huge amounts of it, its sudden devaluation would have threatened the world's richest and most powerful kingdoms. By Newton's time, alchemy was also considered to be a source of forged currency. Probably unaware of Newton's passion for the forbidden art, the king appointed him head of the Royal Mint, based at the Tower of London.
Part of his duties was to ensure the soundness of His Majesty's coinage. He pursued counterfeiters and forgers with ruthless ferocity and sent them to their death.
Broadcaster and writer Professor Thomas Levinson is an acclaimed authority on the life and works of Isaac Newton.
Great to see you.
Nice to speak to you.
So, you know,
In 1696, Newton was the architect of what the Royal Mint dubbed the Great Recoinage. Silver coins were so worn or forged that new, full-weight coins were needed to replace them. A coin dealer's hoard demonstrates the challenge Newton faced.
look at these.
Oh no,
Oh, and look, that's been really chipped away.
it has.
Hi there, can I help?
I am working on Isaac Newton and his role in England's coinage.
Period of Isaac Newton because he was master of the mint.
Warden and then master. Yeah.
Warden and then master. Right.
Richard Bishop is an expert dealer in Old English coins.
If you're interested in Newton, then you must know
Yeah,
the
I
mess
do.
that he inherited.
Indeed. In the 1690s, you have an effective plague of counterfeiting. Again, Newton's estimate, there's something like 11% of England's silver coinage as of 1696 is fake. I wonder, do you happen to have any historic counterfeits hiding in the place?
Hiding, yes. Yes, not here on the counter. They're locked away somewhere.
Oh, excellent.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Here we go.
Grand. So
We've
this
got
is the secret stash.
These they're all forgeries. You haven't seen these, not here.
I would believe that. Somebody handed that to me as a coin. Until I looked over here. You know that shiny little hint of silver? And that black metal in between?
Yes.
So it's pewter or something underneath there.
Yep.
And that's a good fake.
It is an excellent fake.
Yeah, here's a textbook example of what happens when you don't get it right.
Yeah, well, when it goes wrong, you don't understand metallurgy. There you are.
They didn't boil it long enough or mix the alloy or something. But you can really see how thin the skim of silver is.
Just enough to try to fool somebody.
In his later life, Newton protected his king's currency with zeal. But in his younger days, he was up to his neck in illegal alchemy, conducting endless experiments with the aim of transforming base metal into gold. The Patriot was also endowed with the burning curiosity of a great scientist. And that curiosity had led him to the occult and the quest for the legendary Philosopher's Stone. Key sections of Newton's mysterious manuscript are written in code. But one intriguing image kept in the great scientist's library could be the key to cracking the code.
It's called the Green Lion.
The so-called Green Lion seems to be consuming a golden sun that in turn appears to be bleeding red.
The sun is something that presumably represents gold.
We definitely see the lion biting gold, so we know that there's some sort of reaction going forth. I mean, whether it's a corrosive sort of thing or a distillation, I'm really not sure.
One thing that really intrigues me is the blood. Why would the gold perhaps bleed? Why would it turn red?
There were a series of color changes that you were supposed to go through in order to get to the Philosopher's Stone, and that, like, one of the most important ones was red. When you got to red, you were very nearly there.
You were very close.
Yeah.
The image appears to be a clue describing the last stages of making the Philosopher's Stone.
But of course, there's another way of attacking gold, of dissolving it, and that's actually to use mercury. Mercury will form an amalgam with gold, and it was a classic way of actually extracting gold from its ore.
The red blood could be a cryptic reference to a magical solvent known as philosophical mercury.
Philosophical mercury was also reputed to be able to dissolve any kind of metal, including gold.
Decoding such images is difficult. When alchemy was outlawed and attracted brutal punishments, alchemists used ciphers to hide the true nature of their experiments. Newton seems to have done the same thing. Such codes ensured no one could accuse him of dabbling in the dark arts, especially later in his life, when he had abandoned alchemy and became master of the royal mint. Newton employed spies to root out forgers and showed no mercy to those he caught.
He recruited a network of people who had access to increasingly bad guys. He disguised them when necessary. He sent them out. They would go to, the places where this stuff was happening, often pubs or taverns.
So he had an entire network of spies and things that he would sort of pay to infiltrate their way into criminal circles,
Absolutely.
didn't he?
And they were his agents. If you thought no one was listening, when Newton was in charge, someone was always listening. There's at least one instance where he himself, Newton, famously this rather unsociable guy, dives into a pub and questions at some length an informant.
A notorious forger, William Challoner, proved to be Newton's arch nemesis.